So I saw a video pop up on my recommended from a YouTube channel you guys might know. They're one of the other big short form content creators for LEGO Star Wars, TOT Star Wars, this or that Star Wars. They're a group of 4 boys who love debating about LEGO, and they made a video recently, what would make the $1,000 Death Star worth it? And I'm not gonna do my exact copy of that video, but I do remember talking to my friend Andy, and he said he made a figure draft of what the 30 figures in the UCS Death Star should be. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna write mine out too. I think this is an interesting concept. And there is some things in particular for me that I think when you're doing something this big and this special, you need to include. So let's hop right in here. Here's the 30 figures I believe should be in the new UCS Death Star. But before we get in the video, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I'm on my way to 4,000 subscribers. I appreciate every little bit, and let's go. So let's start with some of the obvious ones right off the jump. Number one, it's gotta be Palpatine. Palpatine, maker of Death Star. Of course, they're gonna have the final battle from Return of the Jedi as a section of the build. So with that being said, Vader, Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi. Obvious picks. 2 Royal Guards, that's 5 off the jump. You're going to want to recreate one of the most iconic scenes to take place in the Death Star. And I have a feeling and a hope that this section of the build is going to be relatively big. Because if it is going to be a play scale one, or one that can close in and have this big like shell on the outside, either way, when you're on the inside, you're going to want to have some of the most iconic scenes recreated. Another one that's going to obviously be recreated is the trash compactor scene. So you're going to want to get Han Solo in a Stormtrooper outfit, Luke Skywalker in a Stormtrooper outfit, Chewbacca, Leia, R2-D2, C-3PO. It helps going over them and talking about like a scene like this that also is like the diorama exists. It makes sense they were going to include these figures anyways. Yes, there can be some things that would be a little bit interesting. Like I would love if like the Luke and the Han Solo had special heads for this occasion, where it's like the hair is a little bit swampy, the faces have a little bit of gunk on them. Chewbacca, I don't want to waste 2 spots on 2 different Chewbaccas, but if you did and you made one Chewbacca like a really gross version from the trash compactor, I wouldn't mind, but that's not on my list. And I'll just get them out the way while we're talking about it. I will have a regular farm boy Luke. Love to see it. Totally love to see it in every single set possible, but it's a necessity, especially when they swing over the gap, him and Leia. That needs to be recreated in this some way or another. So that makes sense. And then of course, like at the docking bay and stuff, just a regular Han Solo. And I'm hoping that they revamp him, do what they did with like the Cloud City one where he has like side leg printing and stuff. Just give us an updated Han. I don't even know when the last like regular Han was given to us. So obvious picks there, just makes sense to just add. But so far we have nothing really interesting. But this is where I think it kind of just gets a little bit more unique, and this is where you can start picking some out of left field picks. My first pick is going to, of course, be Tarkin. Not really out of left field. I lied by saying that. But I do think Tarkin needs to be here. We haven't gotten a Tarkin since the last Death Star. So yes, give us a Tarkin, give us an updated Tarkin. I'd love to see it. And with that being said, I think there should be another Imperial officer, Admiral Motti. For you who don't know who Admiral Motti is, he is the one that in A New Hope, Darth Vader chokes out. It's the famous scene where they're all sitting at the table and Tarkin's like, knock it off. And you're just like, whoa, wait, he stopped because that guy told him to? So I think this would be a cool scene to recreate in that little section of this meeting room. That's one of my thoughts. And I'd also include 2 regular Imperial officers as well. Just, you could make them named characters, but for me, Admiral Motti, Tarkin, and then 2 other ones. 4 Imperial officers on the Death Star just makes sense to me. And then I'm contradicting myself again, because there will be a 5th Imperial officer. One of the guys who helped make the Death Star from the start to finish, one figure who got completely snubbed from Andor sets. We need a new Krennic. Give us a new director Krennic. That just makes sense. I feel that is a figure that's an easy shoe-in. Yes, it doesn't make sense for any like particular scene you're going to recreate in this, but throw Krennic in the meeting. Who cares? And this is I would say the figure that is the most least likely, but I'd love to see in this. Give me Galen Erso, the guy who made the Death Star. Give him a little Death Star plans piece. That's just the only way I could see us ever getting a Galen Erso figure, but it makes sense. The guy who developed the Death Star, put him in the Death Star set. Especially I think Krennic and Galen Erso would be the perfect ones if you were to only get two special ones, you know how they do with normal UCS sets. Put them at the base. Galen Erso, Director Krennic. And I'd be like, oh, the people who worked on making the Death Star. That's a really cool pick. So, not likely, but I love the idea of it. Another thing, I'm not going to count to it, but I do believe we should get 2 mouse droids. And I do not think mouse droids should count toward the number. If you give us 28 figures, but say it's 30 and give us 2 mouse droids, I'll be mad. So yeah, just give us mouse droids. They need to be there, but I'm not counting them as actual figures because they're 8 pieces. I'd be so upset if they fudge the numbers like that. But one droid I do believe should fit right into the number count that we have. Give us a Gonk droid. And I'm not talking about any Gonk droid in particular. Give us a remake of the container one. Just the classic Gonk that everyone loves from the complete saga. And I've been looking for one of those Gonks at Brickworld Chicago, and you can never find them. No one's ever got these Gonk droids, and they go for $50 per container. So give us a throwback, give us a goated figure that everyone wants. I think if that popped up, that'd be one of the first things people talk about. Other than one thing I have down the list, but we'll save that for last. But for the rest of the figures, they are more of just the people that make up the entirety of the Death Star. I'm gonna say give us 2 Death Star Troopers, both ones with the full mask, the full face covering, and then 2 of them where they are the opposite head covering. 4 Death Star Troopers makes sense for me. And then with down to 6 left, I think we should get 3 regular Stormtroopers. I could completely understand if the rest of the figures in this set are 6 Stormtroopers, but here's my idea. For the final 3 figures on the set, LEGO has the opportunity to make me actually buy this set. LEGO Star Wars fans will go wild. Add the hot tub, add 3 beach troopers to sit around that thing. Come on. No brainer. No brainer. That would be something that the fans have been asking for 2 decades. LEGO, just hire them. I can make you that money. Because if you put in Galen, Krennic, Tarkin, 6, 7 exclusive figures to this set, it'd force my hand. I wouldn't be able to build it. Look at the space I have around me. What am I putting in the closet? No. But you'd force my hand because the figures would just be that goated. But with that being said, that's my list of my 30 figures that I wish I could put into this set. Let me know if you'd change anything in particular, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.